You mentioned the surgeons had worked on you for 8 hours, and at one point we were told that you quite possibly were not with us anymore. For those of you that don't know, this is my very first interview. And this interview is so meaningful to me because not only is Amanda just an amazing woman of God with an amazing ministry, Amanda is also my niece. And so I had a front row seat to her testimony. She is a testimony of the power and grace of God and what God can do in your life when you yield to Him. I just wanted to welcome you into our show today. We will be interviewing Amanda Hokanson. Amanda has one of the most amazing testimonies that personally I have ever heard. She has overcome so many obstacles in her life and literally was on death's door when Jesus Christ reached down and pulled her out of that pit. And He has taken her life and turned it around in the most amazing, powerful way that her testimony gives me personally so much hope. My hope and prayer is that it will do the same for you. If you or a loved one are suffering or struggling with addiction of any kind, please stay tuned and listen to this amazing testimony. We pray that it brings you hope and healing. And most importantly, we want to point to how amazing our God is. We want to point to the power and the love of Jesus Christ. When situations in our lives bring us to the end of ourselves and we cry out to Jesus, He can do the most amazing things in our lives when we yield to Him. And so, with all that being said, I would like to invite our guest, Amanda Hokanson, onto our show.
Mm.
Welcome, Amanda.
Oh, thanks, Lynn.
It's so
Yeah.
great to see you.
I'm really excited to be able to share, and I've never given my testimony on his platform, so this is fun too.
I'm so excited. Amanda is also my niece. And so I had a front row seat to her testimony, the good, the bad, and the victorious. And again, she is a testimony of the power and grace of God and what God can do in your life when you yield to Him. So, Amanda, I'd like to start right off by you sharing your testimony
Mm.
with us. So, if you could preface your testimony with a little bit of what was going on in your life before this major event happened to you, and then just share your testimony from there.
Yeah, yeah, sure. I'll um I'll start with when I moved to North Carolina because I was originally from Massachusetts. I grew up here, and then wanted a geographical change, something. I was going through a big breakup in my life. I needed to move, and I had family in North Carolina, like you. And yeah, I was thinking that that would be the best thing for me was to just change and to get my life under control. I started my quarter life crisis around then. I was 24. Yeah, a bit premature, but I was looking to just find change and hope in a new place, not being in the same town. I had already been heavily in addiction since I was about, well, I started drinking when I was like 14, but then the addiction set in when I was 16, 17, and was regularly drinking then. I had done other things too, but I think alcohol was probably my most dependent thing in my life.
Mhm.
So yeah, I had got up, moved, ended a 8 year long relationship with someone then. Um, and thought that this change would be good for me. Um, Lo and behold, it was not. In isolation, really, is when my addiction got so much worse.
Mhm.
I had family a little bit further out there, but it wasn't really close by.
Mhm.
And yeah, just the job changes, all the things I was trying to adapt to
Mhm.
wasn't wasn't conducive to the life I was living. Um, yeah, very isolated, very lonely. Very just stuck in my ways until I was trying to move again. I probably moved like 4 to 6 times when I was there. I can't even remember most of it.
Mhm.
But yeah, I went to move again and abruptly decided that I was done. I was going to stop drinking. Yeah, would never recommend that. If you or anyone you know is struggling with alcoholism, do not just cold turkey it, even if you think you can. That was also another false belief that I had, is
Mm-hmm.
that I could withstand any kind of pain like that.
Mm-hmm.
So in the midst of that, getting sober, moving in with my brother, trying to find another hopeful step there. Yeah, I started to lose it. The withdrawals were incredibly painful, and then triggered delirium tremors, which led to psychosis. So if I could describe what hell would be like, it would probably be that.
Wow.
Mm. Yeah, a lot of emotional torment, hallucinations. Yeah, just things going through your mind that you can't control, along with your body. I had tried to go get help. I had been to a hospital and they knew about the withdrawals and they just gave me sedatives.
Mm.
So, also, yeah, I think there's not a lot of medical help out there to deal with that, or I wasn't given the right kind of help either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm. And the psychosis, yeah, I tried to take my life. And by the grace of God, it's the Lord preserved my life in a way that, yeah, is just unreal.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the I had been transferred to the hospital at that point. Went through emergency 8-hour surgery, only to find that my body was still intact, that I was okay,
Mm-hmm.
which was just wild. And yeah, I know a lot of my family had a terrible thing to witness and to go through in that. And yeah, the Lord has healed me of the guilt and shame of that in so many ways. So praise God for that. But yeah, I think the big testimony there is that He not only preserved my life, and yeah, right after, it wasn't like immediate hope. It wasn't like, oh yes, I found it. it
Mm-hmm.
was it was a bit longer of a journey after that. I needed to go into a program, and I had heard about a place called His Mansion from my father, and it basically meant that I would have to just go drive up to New Hampshire and not know if I was accepted yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I took the risk. Um, I wasn't sure what I was going to find there either. I just knew that there was a God, and that I was saved. I was saved in a very tangible way. And with my stubbornness, that was the kind of thing that I needed,
Mm-hmm.
crazily enough. So yeah, I was able to go to this program. Um, highly, highly recommended. I'm still here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still working, and I had gone through the resident program is a year long, so it is faith based. It's a Christian recovery center, not only for addicts but for any people with life controlling issues.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think this was like where the real hope kind of set in for me. Definitely this place was a catalyst for all the change that was about to happen. I went from coming to the end of myself, um, potentially like what I thought was destroying my life, to like the Lord rebuilding it in very intentional ways. The program incorporates inner healing along with different discipleship things. So as a new believer, it was honestly ideal. I was able to like start from the ground up. My family was in faith when we were raised, but it wasn't something that was modeled in a way that was helpful for me. And I definitely, yeah, I I didn't have a clear image of the heart of Jesus in my home,
Mm-hmm.
and that is something that the Lord is also restoring still.
Mm-hmm.
I can, yeah, I can be with my family and we don't have to be centered around dysfunction or arguments anymore, but we can find hope in Jesus, and we can connect over that. And that has been a huge thing.
Mm.
And just restoring relationships. And yeah, I'm also so grateful that in all those times, my parents were still always, they were separated, divorced when I was younger, but they were still always supporting me in that, and wanting recovery for me, and loving me in my addiction. So that was a huge deal. I was very blessed to have family
Mm-hmm.
throughout my life that was still pursuing me nonetheless. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's a beautiful thing. But yeah, so I had gone through the resident program for a year, and then I did another year as a servant leader. So this is a separate program that we have, that basically anybody who wants to do ministry can come live on site, and it is working side by side with the residents, walking through what they walk through, just being the hands and feet of Jesus, day in, day out, doing the routine. It is a work-based program,
Mm-hmm.
highly structured. So it's not easy. Like, definitely not for someone who's trying to just 30 days take a break. You have to be really committed to something like
Mm-hmm.
this.
Mm-hmm.
And but it is foundational for trying to create lasting change in your life, trying to know what it actually means to follow Jesus at a cost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with all the people here, I'm like so incredibly blessed by all of the sequence of events that have just led me to where I'm at right now. Because yeah, I wouldn't have been able to do it on my own. I wouldn't have found this place in my own will, but the Lord has taken unique experiences in my life and different gifts, ways that I am able to care for others too and minister to people.
Mm-hmm.
The joy I find in that, redeeming my identity in so many ways. Yeah, he's
Mm-hmm.
just used even the negative things from my past here and shaped them into to something that is helpful and that is beautiful, and that's just really encouraging. Um, Encouraging to be in a community like this, where people aren't afraid to challenge or to see the ugly sides of someone.
Mm-hmm.
That's like that's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm now staying on his staff and looking to pursue a counseling degree. Yeah, I'm going to be working more closely with the women as residents still, which is something that is really dear to my heart, because I love seeing what they're going through and being able to, yeah, to have a close view of God's work in that, but to also provide the hope that I didn't have in the beginning, because that is
Mm-hmm.
something that takes time. Um, and I know the community did that for me so much, and they were just such a hopeful presence. But yeah, so that's a really exciting part of where I'm at now in my testimony. And yeah, I'm just really grateful that I was able to go back and look at the serious points of my life and what had led me into addiction and where I was emotionally, and really, like, the Lord has redeemed my addiction in so many ways. I also have to see people that struggle with addiction a lot more heavily here, and temptation, and the burdens of what it is like to want to go back day in and day out.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord just revealed at the lowest point of my life that that wasn't what I was looking for. And the relief that I was looking for was just leading to death.
Mm.
And what I was doing was just poisoning myself,
Mm-hmm.
and a means to an end, really. So the symptoms being lack of hope, and just wanting to, yeah, to be rid of myself and my life. And the Lord has redeemed, like, self-hatred in so many ways. Um, the suicidal ideation addiction, it is no longer controlling my thoughts or my actions or my emotions. It's honestly a miracle, and that's like the beauty of the way the Lord can restore our mind in so many ways. And I'm still in that journey.
Mm-hmm.
That is like a lifelong thing that, yeah, it takes a long time to break down false beliefs and to rebuild them with truth. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm just extremely grateful that, yeah, that God is the hope that I needed in that. And it wasn't myself, it wasn't my ability to change my life or to modify my behaviors. It was to find something that is more sustainable and that is actually life giving, the true source of life and freedom. That was Jesus.
Mm.
Yeah, I realized what it was.
Hmm.
So, yeah, very grateful for that.
You said a few things that really stuck out to me. One of them was that the addiction you were pursuing was serving a purpose at that time for
Hmm.
you, which obviously ended in almost in your death. But I wanted to back up a little bit and ask you, at the time that you were in full on addiction, what did that do for you? Like what needs what needs did the alcohol meet within your life or within your heart at the time that you were trapped in that cycle?
Mm. Yeah. Well, the nature of the beast is there's still there's still some awareness of it, and there is a physical dependency upon that. So I knew if I wanted to be able to work or to function properly, I couldn't. I would have to detox properly, which I wasn't ready to do, and I was just trying to keep my hands steady at that point. Trying to be able to work, I like needed to drink a certain amount, and that was terrible. But beyond that, the reason I kept getting worse is because it was just like a hopeless endeavor, and I was trying to disconnect emotionally, and that was the only source of good in my life that I felt like at the time. Like if
Mm-hmm.
I could, I didn't know how to find joy or peace or like anything good apart from that.
Right, right. So do you feel like it was something that helped to numb the pain,
Yeah.
calm your nerves, and to just like give you the fortitude to just press on through another day?
Yeah, it was definitely enforcing the disconnection that I had within myself. I was like not emotionally aware or healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So I was using this to make myself believe that I could just keep going. I was okay and
Mm-hmm.
to not feel what was happening. And that
Mm-hmm.
was just the tactic that I had learned at a young age. And
Mm-hmm.
it's, yeah, it serves to an end.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it was just a means to an end.
Mm-hmm.
What were your biggest struggles mentally and emotionally at that time, right before you entered the hospital and your life changed? Was it financial? Was it relational? Like what kinds of things were going on in your life that culminated into that moment
Mm-hmm.
for you?
Yeah, it was financial as well as emotional. I have a hard time even remembering what my emotional state was at that time, besides just like broken. I
Mm-hmm.
don't remember even why it
Mm-hmm.
was that bad, but I do remember just feeling like a strong sense of failure and not being able to keep up my life or to support myself. So everything was kind of coming into that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's like a domino effect of all of the dominoes falling at the same time.
Yeah, pretty
Mhm,
much.
mhm, mhm. When you came out of the hospital and you first were accepted into the program at His Mansion Ministries, what was your outlook at that time? Were you hopeful that you had gotten into the program? Were you expecting it to work? Or what was your thought process and where were you at emotionally and mentally at that point in time? You know, God had just saved your life in a way that, you know, the surgeons, you mentioned the surgeons had worked on you for 8 hours. And, at one point we were told that you quite possibly were not with us anymore. There was a period of time where we thought we had lost you. And then to have to have us go from that moment to a short time later hear back from the surgeon that not only did you come out of the surgery unscathed, but that there was absolutely no damage done to any of your internal organs or any other part of your body. That the surgeon said it was a miracle that you were here with us, and it was a miracle that you survived the the scope of your injuries. Here you are back from the brink, Jesus was just like, nope, it's not your time. You got to stick around. I've got a purpose and a plan for you, but you don't know any of that yet because you're just still so devastated on top of devastated. What was your emotional outlook? What was your hope index on a 1 to 10 of how things were going to turn out for you now that you got accepted into the program of recovery there?
Um, well, yeah, right. When I had first woken up and gotten out of the hospital, I was angry on a certain level. I didn't really wrestle with God about that. I was just like, why am I alive? This is what I was supposed to do to end it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like a real reckoning with like me still angry that the one active control that I had of my life was, yeah, that's what it was, because I was trying to control
Mm-hmm.
that and I couldn't. Um, and then I was pretty hopeless. I remember periods after I took a while slowly for the remnants of hallucinations to be gone. So I was still like the psychosis was lingering in my head. They said the detox was fully done,
Mm-hmm.
but I could still hear the torment in my head. So I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
what is the point of this?
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
what did that sound like? What kind of thoughts? And if you're comfortable sharing, I'd like you to, because we all have varying degrees of this. But I think it's helpful for people to hear that they can go through something that dark and come out on the other side of it if they allow God to lead them out. So what were the thoughts that were going through your mind, and what did that look like for you?
Yeah, well, I wish that I wish that it worked. I wish that I was dead still. I didn't want to be alive.
Hmm.
Um, didn't
And
have any fun.
was that so that you could escape the pain of what
Mhm.
you were going through? So,
Yeah,
hmm.
yeah. And then yeah, after that I was just like, I need to get into a program. I don't really have a choice. This is just I have to leave. Yeah, it was all just because I felt like forced into like not not physically forced, but I felt an obligation to my family after what I had put them through. It's
Hmm.
like I need to at least try something. What else am I going to do right now? I can't just like up and try and go back to work after like an event like that. I need to try and receive some care.
Hmm.
So that was where I remember looking at different places, and I had a lot of secular inpatient programs that I was looking at too. In
Hmm.
fact, all the other Christian-based programs were very unappealing to me.
Why was that?
Uh, yeah, just the way I viewed Christianity still wasn't on par. It seemed very, very rigid, very strange.
Hmm.
Um, and I wanted something practical that I could commit to, and that just seemed out of the box, you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I actually remember I still have the page where I was writing on like pros and cons of different programs that I could go into because I was doing that in the hospital, and
Hmm.
it was just like his mansion, a little too Christian. I think it's pretty funny now that I can look back.
That's
No,
funny. A
that's
little
not
too
even enough
Christian.
now.
And then it turned out to be just the right amount.
And I was like, now I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, more. Like,
I think it's important to talk about that because a lot of people, especially if you don't have don't have a relationship with the Lord, and that takes personal experience first and foremost. And it's really not a whole lot we can do about that. I feel like there's events and circumstances that happen in our lives, and we either get pushed towards God or further away, depending on the situation. And as far as the you had mentioned, you grew up in a family of faith. We grew up in a family of faith. I'm a person of faith, but you had mentioned, but the love, the nature, the true nature and love of Christ was not, it wasn't tangible. And that was true for my family, my children as well. I think that what church, the four-wall church can't give us with all of the outward trappings of Christianity, where we just kind of, like you said, fit into the box and check off all the check boxes and do all the Christiany things,
Mhm.
doesn't result in someone feeling loved by Jesus. It's not like it doesn't transfer into the real world. And I think that was a big lesson that we've
Mhm.
all had to learn. And I think that, not to get off tangent, but the worldwide church is learning that right now in real
Mhm.
time. I think we're at a point where, um, you know, God's really looking for our hearts and our whole lives. Like you said, you have to come to the end of yourself and give yourself over to Christ in order to receive the healing that He has for you. Um, and it's a painful thing to do that. And yet, when you do that and go through that process, now you can truly become, like a conduit for the love of God,
Mhm.
because it's not you anymore, it's Him through you.
Mhm. Amen.
So, your initial thought was too Christian, too churchy. And when you got there, like the first day, the first week, what was your first impression, and what was that experience like going into a rehab that was Christian in nature?
Um, well, so his mansion is naturally beautiful. It's a farm in the middle of nowhere with like 365 acres,
Wow.
something like that. Everyone there is incredibly kind, and I was honestly like, who just plopped me in the middle of this weird fake bubble? Like,
Mhm.
I was like, there's no way any of this is real. Like, there's
Mm.
I was so defensive at first. I was just like, there's no way you actually care about me. You are just trying to be a quote unquote good Christian and
Mhm.
care for the broken addict. That's what I thought a
Mm.
lot of the people were, their actual motives were. And then as time went on and they continued to pursue me in my anger and my deflection and aversion from care,
Mhm.
I just actually saw that it was real and that it wasn't uh, like something for them to do to feel better about themselves. People here were sacrificing, making next to not a lot of money for it. They
Mhm.
were just doing it out of the kindness of their heart to like really feel like they could actually serve the Lord in a way that was meaningful.
Mm. Mm. That's powerful. Do you
Mm.
remember the first moment where you kind of shifted from this is so fake, this is so like, churchianity and not real, not real, to
Mhm.
coming to the realization that these people really do have the heart of God and have your best interest at heart? What do you
Mm.
remember that moment?
Yeah, it's weird. We have a thing called process groups. So part of the structured program, and that's basically where if we see dynamics or things happening within the dorm for the women, we have to like call each other out if it's not Christ-like or if it's Christ-like. And
Hmm.
I remember I was just being an abrupt and like angry person. And anytime anyone would try and see me and like be like, "Hey, you okay?" I would just be like angry and I'd be like, don't talk to me. And I would just like shut down emotionally and all these things. So I got called out in a process group. And I just remember sitting in a circle with like a bunch of women. And it wasn't even like about the fact that I had like hurt them, but it was like what's actually going on. That
Mm.
was like a crazy concept for me. I was like, I have like all these people that are actually like concerned about me.
Hmm. So instead of them reacting to your anger,
Mm.
they were curious about what was
Yeah.
going on internally, and so instead of being offended by your anger, um, they were seeking healing for you because
Mhm.
they knew that the anger was coming from a place of pain.
Yeah,
Wow.
100%. And
Hmm.
it's one of the things that I still struggle with is being or like feeling seen, being that being such a vulnerable thing. And it's like something that people do so beautifully here.
Hmm.
Just like actually seeing one another,
Hmm.
being able to like point out sin and call it out in a way that is honoring and uplifting and actually moving towards what we're supposed to move towards, which is like being better people and being more like Christ.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's interesting. What does that look like when when someone's behaving in a certain way and you actually call that out
Mm,
in them?
very different. It's actually a pretty healthy dynamic. Sometimes it's dependent on the case.
Mm-hmm.
If it's like something that is actually affecting people real time and is really unhelpful for the care of other women,
Mm-hmm.
who are in the resident program specifically, because we don't want to like harm residents with other residents. We want them to learn from each other and to build each other up and be the catalyst for their own growth.
Mm-hmm.
So oftentimes it means empowering the women to challenge each other. Sometimes it means like having to intervene and be like, that's actually not okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, everything is coming from a place of love. It's not coming from a place of condemnation. It's
Mm-hmm.
like wanting the other person's best, which is actual love, like the commitment to each and every person's well-being there
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and wanting their growth as sisters.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's beautiful. So you're committed not only to your own recovery, but you're taught to be committed to the recovery of the people around you in the program.
100%. That's really what discipleship is. And if we had a recovery program that was centered in just healing yourself,
Mm.
we wouldn't do anything. You would just find a way to mess that up, you know?
Mm.
Yeah, I mean that's the point of the body of Christ and a Christian community. And I think we miss the mark a lot with that and actually exemplifying what a Christian culture should look like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, expound on that, Amanda. I would like to hear more about that.